I'm 39 and happily child-free, but every so often I'll wonder, is it true? Like, you have to have kids to like have a life that's worth living? Just you gotta have so many kids. Like, is it true? And then I found the subreddit, Regretful Parents, and I have learned it is not true. And if you're on the fence about having kids, or if you've decided not to have kids, but occasionally you're like, is this the right decision? Go to that subreddit, because you will learn that there are a shit ton of parents who regret their children.
Don't have kids before you read through the subreddit called Regretful Parents. It's a community of real people who did everything right. They got married, had stable jobs, raised their kids, and still end up miserable. People who want kids forget that there are objective downsides, and the people who have kids do a bad job at telling you how bad it really is. Let's read through one of the most popular posts with over 11k likes and 3k comments. The title is Don't Have Kids. If you're currently childless and looking at this page to read stories, let me just tell you straight up, don't have kids. Save your mental health, freedom, looks, and money. Yes, I love my kids. Yes, they're amazing, but the lows are low. It's not easy. I don't understand why no one truly and openly warns you. I'm warning you, don't do it. And there are thousands of posts like this daily. And reading them forces you to question yourself. Is this the reality of having children?
My mom regrets having me. She's never outright said the words, but I always knew. She was told she could never have kids, but she was still on birth control to regulate her hormones. She ended up having me after a one-night stand with my father, who wanted nothing to do with me. Growing up, she'd sometimes say the right things, but even as a kid, you could see she never really meant it. I wasn't allowed to hug her or cuddle her or need her too much because she barely wanted me to begin with. I had to be careful with my needs and reserve them for things I really needed, things that wouldn't make her not want me at all, like my father. 7 years later, she had my little sister with a man who left her for another woman, and things got worse. My mom suffered a deep depression, and she still does as she's nearing her 50s. The only men she ever dated were men in prison who lived too far away to see the state of the home we lived in. My sister and I were emotional, violent, and messy. My mom's mom was a hoarder, and my mom never learned to clean, so we became hoarders who lived in filth, while my mom worked multiple jobs to provide for us. She worked herself to the bone while telling us, I could have joined the military and traveled the world. I could have been a lawyer. I could have been a crime scene detective, forensic scientist, a psychiatrist. I could have been so much more. She never finished the sentences, but I always knew it was if you hadn't been born. Eventually, my mom worked for so long and so hard that her body physically broke down and she couldn't work anymore. So it was left to me. Parentification was difficult, but I'd do anything to make her love me. Nothing ever worked, not really. Now I'm a mess of a woman who's left to grapple with the fact that I ruined someone's life just by existing. I wish she wouldn't have had me.
A lot of women don't want to admit it, but a lot of y'all regret having kids. And it shows, like, real bad. Especially the mothers that had kids at a young age. I feel like every few months there's always some type of trend of like, oh, before I lost my spark. Or before he drained me.
If you do not want kids and you are worried that one day you will regret not having children, listen to the advice of the people on the Regretful Parents sub. This person said, imagine you can travel to an alternate timeline where you don't have kids yet but are considering it. What would you say to your alternate self? I'm going to save the top most voted comment for the end because it is so good, it is worth the wait. One of the top posts. I would tell my old self, don't worry about becoming a mom. Be the cool aunt with no kids. That's awesome. Don't let others tell you how joyous being a parent is because they are sugarcoating their experience as a whole. I personally love this one. I would remind myself they cannot give their consent to be born. I wish I could go back. I think about it every day. Top 5 worst things that happened to my life, and I'm 30 years old. These two are both really great. Build your village first before you try becoming pregnant, before you have your baby. build your support network. That is so smart. I feel like people absolutely forget that you do not build your village after you have a baby, because then you have a baby and you do not have capacity to build a village. And of course, the top most voted comment, I would say not to give children to a man that makes you feel anything than cherished. Not to listen to the mothers in your life. Most of them don't have lives you or them would want. This is your forever, and most people love the idea of a new baby but lose interest once the newness wears off. Don't believe the support talks, because people have their own lives and would rather not take care of your crying baby. I would tell her that she deserves better, and that quite frankly, this isn't the life you want right now. Trust your gut. There is a reason your body is screaming this is wrong. A masterpiece.
I'm consumed with the regret of being a parent. The regret is suffocating and overwhelming. I look back at old photos of myself before I had my 2 children, and I mourn my old self so much. The last time I was genuinely happy was before I became a mum. I do absolutely love my 2 daughters, 7 and 3, and I would do anything for them, but I wish I could have done things differently in the past. Their dad and I are recently divorced with 50-50 split custody. We rotate weeks between the girls. On the week that they're with their dad, I am so fucking happy and stress-free. But I dread the day that they come back to me for a whole week. I'm so stressed, anxious, and on edge, and in a foul mood for 7 days straight. I hate feeling this way. I hate being this mother that doesn't enjoy her own children. I know desperately I need therapy, but I no longer have the insurance since I got divorced, and I simply can't afford it. The reason I'm reading this out, I'm on Reddit, I'm on r/regretful parents. I want to kind of normalize the fact that there's people out there that have become parents without actually thinking about becoming parents. They have become parents because they think that this is the next thing that just they need to do in life, right? And there are many, many, many stories out there of people being like, I love my kids, but I would never ever do this again. So this is kind of in response of all the things that I've posted recently, and there have been a lot of people being angry at me because I don't want to have kids myself. Are you right down there? Are you right down there? Okay.
Trigger warning, this may get a little dark, but where does the we'll see, or you'll see mentality come from? Because me, as a mom, I hate to see the you'll see when you have kids, or you'll see. I never tell them that. I tell my kids straight up, like, this is what is involved, okay, in XYZ. This is what is involved in parenting. I'm not going to tell them to wait until you have kids to figure it out, because I honestly think that had I known what goes into having kids, I would have never had kids. Like, I don't think that it's talked about enough. Maybe I could be the only person who feels like this, but now I see what my mother-in-law was talking about, because I don't think that we're thoroughly prepared. And then, I don't know, I just feel like there should be more information regarding that, because I feel like the we'll see, or you'll see mentality is like there to kind of set you up for failure in a sense. Not all the way, but like elaborate. You need to elaborate. When you're explaining stuff to people, you have to elaborate, or else they're going into situations not really understanding the full reality of behind certain situations, like parenting. And like for me, I feel like parenting is even harder for me because like my mom passed away, so like I do not have that extra person that I can lean on in a sense, and it's just, I'm just out here thugging it, and I don't know how I feel about it, and I'm trying to do too many, I don't know. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think that you were prepared for parenting? Because having a baby is different, and as the kids get older, it's a whole nother situation. But do you think that you were prepared? Do you think your parents prepared you? Nobody can really prepare you, but do you think you had an informed reality of what things are going to be like? Let me know.
I have so many girlfriends that are like, I love my kid, but I still want my life from before I had my kid. I want to work even more now that I've had a kid because I realize being a full-time mom is fucking hard.
There has been this weird stigma around women who decide to not have kids.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it much more normalized now. On TikTok, I've been seeing all these videos where people are saying, I had kids and I love my kids, but if I could go back and do it over, I wouldn't do it. Right. And that's something that was so taboo to say, and it's super controversial. People are so scared if they do feel that way to actually say that out loud, but it's a real feeling that people actually have. Why is that so horrible to talk about? Doesn't mean you don't love your child, of course. You would never give them back.
It's not like you have to regret it to say, hey, if I knew what I was in for, I wouldn't do it.
Right.